people. Be so kind as to join us up at the front. We'd love to get the show started. We're sick, by the way. It's a pleasure to finally make it to Houston.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Bands You Should Know, where I highlight lesser-known, short-lived bands that I feel did not get the attention they deserved. This time I'll be talking about a band from the 90s that straddled that line between alternative and metal in a way that 30 years later is more proof that the music from the 90s was truly unique. And unfortunately, some bands just didn't get the reception they probably should have. And honestly, that's because a lot of us back at that time really took for granted the fact that we had so much great music and so many great bands all happening at the same time. And one of those great bands was from Lawrence, Kansas, and they were called Stick. Now, like always with these videos, the information that I have here has been pieced together from various sources around the internet. In this case, including the Fantastic Stick Facebook page, which isn't even run by anybody in the band, just a fan like me. But there's so much great shit there. So before we even begin, a big shout out to that page. I'll include a link in the video description. But honestly, there really is not a lot about this band out there. So here's what I know. The band evolved from another band called Kill Whitey that had all of the same members plus a different lead vocalist. And they existed from the late 80s to the early 90s. Sometime in the early 90s, the lead vocalist left the band, and then one of the guitar players, Mark Smurl, he moved into the vocalist position, and Stick was born. And that created the first and longest running version of the band, which featured Mike Tobin on guitar, Daryl Brannick on bass, Tim Mon on drums, and of course, Mark Smurl on vocals. And the kind of music they did really kind of lived and died within the early to mid 90s, at least in my perception, because it was shit that I was really into, which was stuff that I guess later on would be considered alternative metal. I saw a newspaper article with an interview with Mark Smurl from Stick, and the writer of the article referred to them as groovecore. That actually sounds like a subgenre that would be more relevant today, really. But they were one of those bands that metalheads could argue that they weren't metal. People that were into alternative music could argue that they were too heavy, which made them absolutely perfect for people like me. Now, back when the band was Kill Whitey, they got passed up by all sorts of different labels. I wonder why. Maybe the name didn't really help. But by the time Stick was formed, they were once again approached by labels. And apparently, once again, this is a thing that I read in one place and can't be confirmed, but Virgin Records was so interested in them that they paid for them to record a demo. And the band did a promotional music video for the demo version of the song No Groovy. Funny enough, ultimately, Virgin Records did not sign them, but they were signed by Arista Records. And apparently, while they were not paid very much money for this deal, they were given some sort of creative control, not only over their music, but over how they were marketed. And one of their stipulations would be that they would not be over marketed, which I understand that, because around that time, around 1993, the idea of a band being over marketed, over promoted, over saturated on radio, MTV, whatever, that was a thing that people talked about a lot. But in hindsight, not pushing this band a lot may have actually hurt them. Who knows? May not have been the best strategy, but it is what it is. And they went into the studio to record their debut full-length album. And this album and all of their recorded content, as far as I know, was produced by E.J. Rose, who would later be known as Ed Rose and would work with bands like the Get Up Kids and Motion City Soundtrack. But his production style was absolutely perfect for the band, because all of the stuff they put out, to me, sounds fantastic. Now, one of the things the band wanted to do was, before their album ever came out, they wanted to put out a 7-inch, which was interesting because 1993, not a lot of people were collecting records. It had gotten to that point where everyone was making the switch over to CDs. But right before their album came out, they put out this 7-inch, which features a song that isn't on the album, which is called Resistance. And it also features a cover of the Black Flag song Drinking and Driving. And it's on clear vinyl. That's kind of cool, right? I just had to show that off. And then soon after that, in 1993, the band would release their debut album, Heavy Bag. And this album would be their biggest and their only major label album. And I absolutely love this album because, for lack of a better description, it sounds like 1993 to me, which is an era of music that I truly miss. And there's a picture of the dudes from the inside of the CD. I like how the vocalist is facing the wrong direction. That's so 90s, isn't it? The entire album maintains a really great heavy groove throughout. It's a whole mood, basically. And I don't know if this is just me, but every time I hear Heavy Bag, it makes me think of what Tool did on their very first album, Undertow. But if you made it a little more groove-oriented, something about it, there's a similarity there. Once again, the magic of 1993. But the label would release the song No Groovy as a single. This is literally like a one-track CD. These things would be sent to radio stations so they would know about the single and hopefully put it in rotation. And it would be played on a lot of different radio stations, and there would be a music video made for the song. And, it actually was included on this Rock Video Monthly that came out in 1994. And so since I have such a great quality version of it that I can show you guys, we're going to watch the whole fucking video right now.
Question why yours is just the suicide of the bench and all's a killing time. Make the call and hold the line. It's now groovy. It's now groovy. Let you feel a night round wave. Decorate your open grave. I turn the candle out to praise and synchronize your lazy days.
Now, I remember seeing that video on Headbangers Ball maybe twice, maybe not even. I do remember seeing it. And unfortunately, the way that things worked back then, I know that older people like me say this a lot, but there was no internet. So usually you would take note of a band and be like, oh, Stick, they were pretty cool. Next weekend, you'd go to the record store. If the album wasn't there, you may just totally forget about that band, which is what happened to me. Many years later, I somehow remembered the song No Groovy and found my way back to this band and became the fan that I should have been in 1993. But back to the 90s. Heading into 1994, the label Arista Records was promoting the album. They were putting out different singles. They ended up putting out this promotional live CD that has 4 live tracks, including the song Resistance, which was released on that first 7-inch. And there would be a second single sent to radio for the song Grind, the first song on the album. Once again, these are things that you couldn't just buy. They were sent to radio stations. And so it's not like these were singles that were being put out in stores. Honestly, when it comes to record labels and record deals at the time, I don't really know what constituted a single being released individually in a store to purchase and one that was just sent to radio. But either way, the band only had the album and then the songs being released to radio and MTV. But there was no video made for the song Grind, and that's kind of as far as it went with releasing singles for the band. But the band did a shitload of touring around that time. They toured with I Mother Earth, with Mindfunk, with Typo Negative, with Life of Agony. At one point, they even opened for Kiss. So they were out there doing it. And unfortunately, there's very, very, very little live footage out there of the band playing. But I was able to find what I think came from an old Access television show from probably around 94, and somebody uploaded it to YouTube like 15 years ago. And it includes part of the song No Groovy and a completely unreleased song called Fade. Now the sound was kind of fucked on it, so I fixed it as best I could, and I decided, hey, in the spirit of things, we're going to watch the entire performance of that unreleased song, Fade. So thank you to Uncle Bry on YouTube, who I don't think has logged into their account in 15 years. So if you know who that is, thank him for me. Anyway, let's watch this live performance from the Aviator in Wichita, Kansas, from what I think is early 1994. Here's Stick with the unreleased track Fade.
This one goes out to Low Life. It's called Fade. And it was inspired by this great band right here. Well, you got a double knot, one for each of your faces. Well, why don't you tell them how now I can burn these faces? Well, you got a double thought, didn't tell your finances. You gain others pay through your gross expenses. Fearless, in your face. Sell a soul spell time to keep you open. But the work's not done, so snip the sleeves a little longer. Your blood fast but suffers none of the consequences. You praise out, I think with you find out so lessons. A black heart in your mother face. Don't misunderstood. I'm fearless in your face.
Now, while the album Heavy Bag wasn't doing amazingly sales-wise, the label was still doing some stuff to promote them. The aforementioned Rock Video Monthly, where they appear alongside Anthrax, King's X, Prong, Typo Negative. They're all on this. And soon after, in 1994, they would be included on the soundtrack for the movie Airheads. Their song Fuel from the album Heavy Bag would be included on this soundtrack. And that came out in July of 1994. And then the movie came out in August of 1994. And while it's a movie that I dearly love, it didn't do very well, which once again didn't help the band out at all. Now here's where things get pretty blurry. So somewhere around 1995, the drummer Tim left the band. He would be replaced by Eric Kahn, and they would go into the studio to record their follow-up album, Disgruntled Ex-Employee. First of all, I love the design of the artwork here because it's a clear thing on the inside that makes it look like it's cracked. Sorry if it's blurry. And then you open it up to the CD there. My version is interesting. You know, inside mine, it's a blank yellow thing, but you pull it out. There's, some track listings on that part there. And then underneath it is a picture of the band. Now that I think of it, it seems like this is probably a promotional version of this album. Anyway, this album is fantastic. Now, the mystery here is the album is produced by E.G. Rose, or Ed Rose, and it sounds fantastic. Somewhere around this time, the band was either dropped or left Arista Records. Knowing the history of what happened to bands around that time, like Stick, they were probably dropped. But to me, it seems like they may have already had the album recorded or were in the middle of recording the album when they were dropped, because it sounds fantastic, like it could come out on a major, but it came out on Manic Records, which is an indie label, and if you go look on Discogs, there's only 3 releases related to that label. So I don't know if it was put out by the band and that's their little label that they started for a little bit. Who the fuck knows? But Disgruntled Ex-Employee is a great progression of the band's sound. They move a little more into a post-hardcore, I guess, kind of area. There's still a lot of groove, still some heavy riffs in it, but they try a lot of new things, and they are super successful, and it makes for an excellent second album from Stick. So Disgruntled Ex-Employee was released sometime in 1996, but before it was even released, they already had a different drummer, their third drummer, and a different bass player. So clearly, things weren't going super smoothly in the Stick camp, and eventually, sometime in late 1996, the band would split up. And that is literally where the information about this band and its members pretty much ends. The drummer on Disgruntled Ex-Employee, Eric Kahn, he went on to be in a band, if you're from Austin or from the Texas area, you may know them, called Tia Carrera. But other than that, it's hard to find information on bands that these guys were in after the fact, or if any of them even keep in contact with each other. I do know that Mark Smurl put out a solo album in 2019 under the name Smurl, and the album was called Edgewater, but that's pretty much it. And a lot of this information, once again, shout out to the Facebook page, which is called Stick, aka KW, which I'm going to put in the description. You can look down there and go to the Facebook page, because there's so much great stuff there that guy has gotten from band members. And just, I mean, he's done a lot more work than I did. I am just, I'm just presenting it here for you on my format. So go over to the page and thank them. But this is definitely a band that I think should have been bigger. And if nothing else, should be a band that people are still talking about, mostly because I really do feel the rock music, the heavy rock music, the alternative metal, whatever it is that you want to call it, that was going on in the early to mid 90s was just such great music. And it's music that I don't ever hear it done that way. I hear there are bands that will point out other bands from around that era, but the stuff they put out, usually, I'd say 9 times out of 10, it's missing something, doesn't hit the mark the way that I want it to. And maybe it's because that's when I was coming of age. I was a teenager around that time in the early to mid 90s, but that music means so much to me. And bands like Stick are just so fascinating to me because they were bands that probably without major labels and MTV, especially MTV, I never would have heard of Stick. So, I mean, I guess that's better than nothing. You don't fucking know any of the bands I was in. So here I am again talking about another band that I feel needs to be talked about a lot more. So go check them out. I know you can listen to Heavy Bag on your streaming services. Disgruntled Ex-Employee, you can find a CD maybe on eBay or on YouTube. I'm pretty sure somebody has posted the entire album. Or throughout the day, you could hear songs from both of their albums on Old Head Radio, on Live 365. If you go to my link tree in the video description, there's a link to Old Head Radio. I play all sorts of great shit. Old Head approved bangers 24/7, including Stick, a band you should know, and now you do. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all again very soon.
Very special evening. Thank you very much. All right.
Good job.
Spider-Man!